Right, in this first video, we're going to review how to draw angles, how to convert angle measures, and how to find coterminal angles. In question number one, we want to draw the angle for 190 degrees, and then we're going to find the reference angle. Now 190 degrees, that's bigger than 180 degrees, and so that angle is going to have its terminal side right here in quadrant 3. And we need to be sure to draw the direction arrow to indicate that this is a positive angle. Now the reference angle is going to be the angle between the terminal side and the x-axis. This little angle right here. And to find that angle, we're just going to subtract 180. And so my reference angle here is 10 degrees. All right, negative 105 degrees. Now this time we've got a negative angle that we need to draw. And if you remember, that means that we're going to start at the positive x-axis, but instead of going up, we're going to go down in the negative direction. And 105, that's a little bit bigger than 90 degrees. And so my terminal side is going to be right here in quadrant 3, and I'm going to draw my direction arrow to show that I went in the negative direction. Now the reference angle again is the angle between the terminal side and the x-axis, and that's going to be this angle right here. And we can find that by subtracting 105 from 180 degrees, and that gives us 75 degrees. Now the next two angles are in radians, and so we need to remember our axis values in radians. Up here at 90 degrees, remember that's pi over 2. At 180 degrees, that's equal to pi. At 270 degrees, that's 3 pi over 2. And then all the way back around, complete rotation is 2 pi. And I guess that angle is also 0. So our first angle here is 6 pi over 5. And it's positive, so we're going to start at the x-axis and we're going to go up. And I'm thinking about the fraction 6/5. Is that going to be bigger than 1/2? And yes, it is. My next axis marker is 1 pi, and 6/5 is bigger than 1, but it's not bigger than 3/2. And so that means that my angle, again, is going to terminate in the third quadrant, 6 pi over 5. Now to find our reference angle, the angle between the terminal side and the x-axis, we're going to subtract 6 pi over 5 minus 1 pi. And if I'm going to subtract, I need to have common denominator, and so instead of 1 pi, I'm going to make that 5 over 5. And so 6 pi over 5 minus 5 pi over 5 would be 1 pi over 5, and so that's going to be my reference angle. Last one here. Negative 10 pi over 3. So again, we're going to be starting at the positive x-axis and moving in the negative direction. We're going to move down. And 10 pi over 3, it's bigger than 1 pi. In fact, it's even bigger than 2 pi. If I change this to a mixed number, I get 3 1/3 pi. And so that means I'm going to start here at the x-axis. I'm going to go down. Here's 1 pi, 2 pi, 3 pi. And then 1/3 would have me have my terminal side here in quadrant 2. 3 1/3 pi. And my reference angle, again, angle between the terminal side and the x-axis, which would be this angle right here. And remember that when we got to this point right here, sorry, that's my dog barking. Remember when we got to this point here, we were at 3 pi, and so we've just added 1/3 pi, and so our reference angle is pi over 3. All right. right, next up we're going to convert angle measures. We have two angles here in degrees, and we want to convert those to radians. And notice that it says that we want you to leave your answers in exact simplified form. And so what that means is that we need to leave pi in the answer. And we're also going to leave the answer as a reduced simplified fraction. Now remember, when we're converting between degrees and radians, our conversion factor is pi over 180. So I'm going to take 215 degrees, and we're going to multiply by pi radians over 180 degrees. And I wrote the units there to show that we've got degrees on the top in our given angle, and so I want degrees on the bottom in my conversion factor so that the degrees cancel out and I'm left with radians. So I have 215 pi over 180. And on the exam, you're going to be able to use your calculator to reduce these fractions. But be sure that you just reduce the fraction part and don't give a decimal answer here. The answer for this one, if you put the fraction in the calculator to reduce it, you're going to get 43 pi over 36. All right, question number 6, negative 460 degrees. Times, sorry, let me go back, negative 460 degrees times pi radians over 180 degrees. Degrees cancel out. And that negative 460 over 180 reduces to negative 23 pi over 9. All right, last thing here is finding coterminal angles. For each of these questions, we want you to find a positive and a negative coterminal angle. So in this first one, I'm going to go ahead and draw a diagram just to remind us how to work these problems. You do not have to draw a picture for each one of these, but I'm just going to do it on the first one to remind us of the process. 280 degrees. That would be an angle a little bit bigger than 270, so that's going to terminate here in the fourth quadrant. That would be 280 degrees. A coterminal angle is going to be an angle that terminates in the same place, that has the terminal side at the same place that this angle does. And so one way that I can do that is by starting at the x-axis and going all the way around and then terminating at that side. And so that angle that I drew in green would be 360 degrees plus 280 degrees, and that's equal to 640 degrees. So that's a positive coterminal angle. Now a negative coterminal angle, that means that I'm going to start here at the positive x-axis but go in the negative direction, which would just be this angle right here, and I can find that by subtracting 280 from 360. 360 degrees minus 280. And actually, I'm sorry, let me back up. I should have done that in the other order so that we come out with a negative angle. 280 degrees minus 360 degrees. That gives me a negative angle, and it would come out to be negative 80 degrees. So basically, when you're finding coterminal angles, you're either adding 360 or subtracting 360. So on number 8, we've got negative 110 degrees, and so I'm going to add 360 degrees to that, and I get the positive angle 250 degrees, which would be coterminal with negative 110. And then to find a negative coterminal angle, I'm going to subtract 360 degrees, and so that angle would be negative 470 degrees. Now when we're working with angles and radians, instead of adding and subtracting 360, we're going to add and subtract 2 pi, because that's the equivalent of 360 in radians. So this first one, 7 pi over 9. I want to add 2 pi to that. But if I'm going to add with a fraction, I need to convert so that I have common denominators. I need to get 2 pi to have a denominator of 9. So I'm still going to have 7 pi over 9 plus, I need 2 pi to have a denominator of 9. And so that numerator would be 18. Because 18 over 9 is equal to 2. And then I can add these together. 7 pi over 9 plus 18 pi over 9 would be 25 pi over 9. And then to find the negative angle, I'm going to subtract 7 pi over 9 minus 2 pi. But I've already figured out that 2 pi is actually 18 pi over 9 to work with this angle. And 7 pi over 9 minus 18 pi over 9 gives me 11 pi over 9, and that's negative. All right, last question here. Negative 3 pi over 4. I need to add 2 pi. So I'm going to add, I need that to be over 4, so that would be 8 pi over 4. And so negative 3 pi over 4 plus 8 pi over 4 gives me 5 pi over 4. Sorry, my 4 is a little hard to read there. There we go. And finally, negative 3 pi over 4 minus 8 pi over 4. I get negative 11 pi over 4.